I guess what's quite amazing about what Conker does is that you bring artists together. You know, it was fun shooting, you know, all these artists, and you know, I love doing it anyway. But you know, when Josh started creating his art and just placing it around, and you know, it felt like you were, you know, witnessing something quite special. So I think, you know, it makes for an interesting experience.
I don't really set out to make automatons. I'm more like, I more feel like it's sort of like making instruments. You give it life, you wind it up, and slowly, like the glass of water, it kind of depletes, you know, and you get the pulse, the tick is the pulse, the heartbeat, to release slow packets of energy. And in a way, that's what an organism has to do. You know? Like an organism gathers itself, and then at some point it has to develop a heart so that it can have discrete packets of energy, so it can live long enough to find another organism to move in with and have a little organism family. Yeah, if we were immortal, actually, we would be destroying things all the time just to test what it really means to be immortal, in the same way that we're alive. So we make stuff just to kind of test what it means to be alive. You know? I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, in the Middle East, where there's always this sort of threat of war, you know, actually, in a strange way, you feel more alive because there's more death around, you know. And then you imagine living in some big house in a suburb, and there's kind of, you sort of feel like you're slowly dying. I mean, they're tricky words, aren't they? The experience of being alive.
The interior shots, I think we wanted to capture something with a bit more intensity and reflectiveness. We didn't want to take the Mexican Day of the Dead and just replicate it. I think we wanted to take elements from it as inspiration, but to make our own piece from that.
Lyrically, I think it's a little bit like, it's quite dark music, and that first record does deal with death quite a lot.
I think it's important to think about the things that scare you the most. And I love the Mexican Day of the Dead thing. I love the way they do that. I love that death becomes a celebration of life. There's lots of cultures that do that. The Day of the Dead just have a really visual and full of life way of doing it, which is lovely. I just think you could drive yourself insane if every time you create something or everything that you do,
must be remembered.
You think of it, you're thinking of it as something that must represent you entirely and totally. I don't think you could ever be happy with anything that you created, or never enjoy it while you're alive. I don't know.
There were lots of elements, you know, the artists, the amazing makeup of Gemma, the items that were so important to the process of the artists, the coffin. There were so many things that I didn't want to place any specific hierarchy of importance to one particular thing. So I guess shooting from above and having them all on the same plane was a good way of doing that. It was an interesting way of doing that.
Skulls have been around for a while, like become a kind of reference in fashion, but it's nice to go just a level deeper and just to see, okay, what does it mean? It's not just an image, it's not flat and two-dimensional, there's a lot more that's in there, so. Life's finite, it's got to end one day, but I guess it's better to focus on day to day, focus on now.
That.
It's not really our inspiration.
That's not our inspiration, that's not our...
That's our third partner.
The third business partner who couldn't make it for the shoot.
He is still alive.
That's why it's white.
Just in case you wouldn't.
I made sure it's a white frame, so...
Well, the other objects, one is very simple, it's just it's like a friendship bracelet or worry bead band maybe. But it's Tiger's Eye, which is a stone for creativity. I think that nothing disappears. It's like we all have an energy, okay, it filters into something else, but it still lives on. So I think if you have memories of people, then it's important to remember them.
Well, the models, the artists and the interior shoot, they seemed quite comfortable with the idea of being in a coffin, actually. In the beginning, they were a bit wary. As soon as they got in, just a sense of calm just took over them, didn't it?
I don't think very much about what the afterlife is, to be honest. I guess I have picked up on the side of being mindful and aware of like death and dying. I'm not one of those people that never thinks about it and is terrified of it. One of my tracks is about bubble wrap, and the last verse is kind of about how on the internet is how we're kind of building our pyramids, building our pharaohs' tombs online. We're kind of like furnishing them with the tidbits of our life, like the quotes, the photos, the videos, the blogged opinions. It's out there, and it is designed to outlive us and to be seen by everyone. Any kind of fictional, kind of just like digital file that we make is more substantial than us. You know what I mean? Because everyone in the world can see it, and it will last forever.
I think all three shoots had completely different feels almost. The front and back cover there was an intensity to it. With the interior shots, it was much more of a reflective kind of experience as a whole, I think. And the procession definitely, for me, captured the fun element to the whole kind of Mexican Day of the Dead approach. When I tried to explain to people that I was doing a catalogue for, a clothing company, I couldn't just leave it as that, because it wasn't just that, there were so many different elements to it.